We are here again to do our last preview of USAPL Mega Nationals. We are just when this podcast drop, will be 2 weeks out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 weeks out. Get excited for Mega Nationals. We have our 90-kilo lifters to our super heavyweight lifters here today. Solana and Steve are joining me again in breaking this down. How are you two?
I am doing fantastic. I feel good.
I'm fine and dandy. It's getting close to my bedtime, but I'm going to stay awake and stay excited for this. I'm old.
Is the fatigue getting to you? Is the fatigue getting to you at all? Because we still got more previews with IPF Worlds coming up too.
Oh, the fatigue's hitting hard, not because of this necessarily, but the totality of what is the last 3 weeks leading in the Raw Nationals in regards to coaching and all the stuff that I have people competing. I don't know why I decided to do a YouTube video this week, but I decided to do a YouTube video. So that was terrible. And then I got another podcast later this week. I'm doing too much. Also starting a business. Maybe I'll talk about that soon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, have fun with
it. Had calls about that the last couple days.
Nice. The hardest working podcast in powerlifting right here. Just constantly doing a whole lot of other podcasts, a whole lot of other content. You got your YouTube channel. You got a podcast coming up too. It's a lot going on, but speaking of a lot going on, 90-kilo weight class. We talked about the 75-kilo weight class last episode, and this rivals the 75-kilo weight class as far as variability goes. Now, 90 kilos had a big addition right at the end with Brandon Petrie. Brandon Petrie killed it at 100 kilos at the Virginia Pro, killed it last year too at 93 kilos at the Carolina Primetime. Now we see him 90 kilos. He definitely mixed some things up here. I think he doesn't have the highest nominated total, right?
Oh, no. No, he doesn't because they're using like his Carolina Primetime one, not his VA Pro where he weighed like 94 kilos.
All right, so that makes sense. So, he doesn't have the highest nominated total, but we have a lot of lifters in this division. Another new addition, Jamar Royster, longtime 83-kilo lifter. He probably would have been one of the favorites. And then, of course, the biggest new addition, in my opinion, Bryce Lewis, coming down from 105 kilos to 93. That definitely mixed up some things. And then you have Cameron Smith, who took third last year in 93s at 2019 Raw Nationals. Connor Borkert, who was many people had him second or first last year as far as projected placings. Didn't have the best meet, but he is definitely within the running this year. Andre Easter, another Carolina primetime lifter. Him and Brandon Petrie went head-to-head at that meet. Dominique Falqua as well. And, yeah, stacked weight class. Where do you want to start with this one, Steve?
Well, start with Brandon. Because if it wasn't for Brandon, we legitimately had 6 people who I all have within like 10 pounds of each other. I don't know. If it wasn't for Brandon, I don't know who would win this weight class. This would have been an incredible battle. It still is going to be, but I'm going to likely assume, we're going to all agree, and most people are going to agree, Brandon is going to be the heavy favorite. He weighed 94 at VA Pro. He's told me and Angelo he actually feels better weighing lighter, oddly. Like when he's actually gained more weight, he actually feels worse and has more aches and pains. I don't know if I don't know the exact reasoning behind that, but he feels good. And so he probably does have a little bit of a cut, but honestly, he probably can hit second attempts and win this. And he just did almost a 2K total. He tried to attempt a 2K total in the gym. So, I mean, I think he's going to be the heavy favorite, even if he goes 7 or 9 or 8 for 9. I see him likely taking this. It's everyone after that is a huge question mark in the sense of we've got new people in this weight class. How are they going to perform? We've got some people who have been cutting down. There's a lot. Some people we haven't seen compete in a while. I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people between an 1850 to an 1870 total. And if you wanted to mix and match them any way you wanted for second and third place, I don't think I could argue. I personally I'm somewhat biasing. I'll bring up the next person. I'm biasing towards Connor Borkert for second place. I do know that this is actually a decently natural weight class for him. He was a light 93. He actually tried last year at nationals to gain weight, to have to cut down, and it actually hurt him. He found that it was actually better for him just to weigh less and not have to do a weight cut. And so this is actually a pretty natural weight class for him. I know training's going well. We know he's done like an 870 plus total. I don't even have him predicted at 870 because I'm trying to be conservative here. But if he goes 870 plus, that probably is pretty solidly second place. And so he's not posting as much as he used to. He's a little bit more off social media from what I gather. Posts a little bit more sporadic, but it'll be interesting. We haven't seen him compete since last nationals. So it's a big question mark on kind of where he's at and how he's going to perform in this new weight class.
Yes.
Solana, how about you?
So I'm definitely excited for the weight class. So, of course, Brandon Petrie. So if you saw him posting his SBD session, he ended up hitting a 711 squat. He had bench of 463 with a bit of a shorter pause, but it still moved. He wanted to go for 45. He failed it. Thinks they would have had 474 if he didn't fail 45. That was what he said in the post. And then he went for the 862. He got like 80% there, the full-on grinder, and then he did not quite hit it. So definitely, I'm not worried about him kind of sweeping. Even like Steve said, like if he hits second attempts, I still think he's got it in the bag. But I do know that his biggest goal is 2K total, and I do wonder if he will be able to execute that at the meet. And then Connor Borkert, like he's my teammate actually. So I know his training is going really smooth. Just like you said, Steve, like this is definitely a better weight class for him. So I think he'll have a better meet than he has had the last couple. He hasn't competed in a while. I'm stoked about Bryce Lewis. I cannot wait to see. I mean, he's been in the game for a very long time. Looks like he is doing well with his training. I also have him. I have predicted around like an 880, 885 total. So definitely coming in extremely strong. And then Jamar Royce is probably one of my favorite people to watch on Instagram. So he's not posting like I feel like last prep he was posting squat. He's not posting quite as many like crazy squats right now, but I still have him. I predicted him at around like 1860, 1870 for a total. So I'm excited about him too. For sure.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. As far as Petrie goes, really, if you take him just in the 93s, what he was doing at Carolina Primetime, we didn't foresee there being a weight class change within the USAPL. We would probably be putting Petrie if there was a perfect world and the USAPL and IPF solved all their problems and there was a 93 kilo weight class. We'd probably be putting Petrie into the conversation of beating Keiko. Just within that weight class. Honestly, just knowing Petrie, I did not think he would be up at this weight at 100 kilos. Killed it. I mean, the Virginia Pro was definitely his breakout meet and kind of catapulted into some sort of like superstardom in powerlifting. But he's a completely capable lifter here at 90. Now it's 3 kilos more that you have to cut down to. And the goal is 2K. 2K at 90 would be a massive, massive accomplishment, and that'll definitely he can talk some shit at that point, because then if you have the 93s with Keiko, Gavin, Chance, Gustav, and that stacked weight class in the IPF, that's like, well, I got this total at 90 kilos, boys. So where does that put me as far as the best 93 kilo lifters in the world? And I think that's probably going into his mind if he's able to do that. But with the gym total, even with Miss Lists, yeah, he's looking great. I agree with what Steve said. If he wasn't there, this is all over the place. We could probably make 3 different predictions and all be wrong in some capacity. We can just kind of throw darts at a board if we put like 5 lifters and, whatever it lands on could potentially be the right one. That's how close they were. I am curious, though, to see a little bit more of a weight cut. Again, 93 and 90 is different. What we talked about when the weight class changed, that was the biggest male weight class that was hit. If people were upset on the men's side, it was definitely within the 93 kilo weight class. No one really had that many complaints about the new weight classes. This weight class does change some things, and it's because of that 3 kilo drop. 2K at 90 is going to be hard. I'm just going to say that right now. It's going to be a difficult thing. I actually think he should go put the best performance he can, get himself a national championship, play out the pro series, because right there, he's up there with Ash. He's up there with Bob. We'll see there. But then the incredibly fun people within this weight class that is going to add to the entire competition. The two people, the person you guys both didn't mention was Cam Smith. Cam Smith is the only one here who placed at last year's Nationals at 93. So he got third. He was a guy who was a real dark horse to start winning that thing. He was looking really good in training. He's a kind of a man of mystery himself. Don't know really what he's doing in training. Doesn't really post sporadically. Hits cop lifts on, pound plates. We don't know exactly what he's doing, but the results speak for himself. Last year, he got third in a really stacked weight class. Connor Borkerts didn't have the meet he expected or wanted at last Nationals, but he's an incredibly capable lifter. I think he'll be comfortably within that 90 kilo weight class. Bryce Lewis, I'm just excited to see how this plays out. I want to see the battle. I never thought I would see a battle between Bryce Lewis, Jamar Royster, and Brandon Petrie. Only way I would have thought I would have seen that if Jamar Royster kept on gaining weight and Brandon Petrie kept on gaining weight too. I didn't think I'll ever see this battle, but it's happening. And Bryce Lewis, veteran, incredibly accomplished, probably has the most accolades out of all the lifters here. He knows his way around a competition. I think Jamar Royster could be getting. I think he might have came in as the early favorites when the rosters were released, but right now, I don't see a whole lot of people who have him solidly within that 90 kilo 1 to 2 spot. I think more people have him third right now, and I think the big reason is because of his deadlift. The deadlift I think is going to hold him back, especially with Bryce Lewis and Brandon Petrie being in the mix. And I really want to see what Andre Easter does last competition with Carolina Primetime. So yeah.
Yeah, going back to Cam Smith, I don't want to overlook him. We hyped him up last year, and then we kind of pulled back a bit because he stopped posting a little bit. But I mean, I'll be honest. One, he's looking really lean, which means he looks shredded in a good way and a bad way. In a good way that he looks amazing. In a bad way that it does look like he did lose a notable amount of weight since last year. And he's posting some lifts. But last year when he was posting lifts, they were shockingly amazing, 700-pound deadlifts, 500-pound benches, repping out 600 on squat. I saw a 635 deadlift that was maybe a 7-ish RPE. And then he squatted 545 by 4 and really hasn't posted much bench. I think I saw a 485 bench. Again, not bad. It's just not blowing me away in the sense that I see him being able to put up that 850 total. I hope I'm wrong. It's just that what I see on Instagram, and again, we said this on the last episode, and we can say it again now. We only have Instagram to go off of. So people who get annoyed that we don't have any other information and we're reading into it wrong, we only have Instagram. That's what I'm saying from Cameron. From Bryce, we have a good idea of his capabilities because he just competed. He competed in March to get this qualifying total. He went down to 90. Now, I do expect that it's likely going to be a little bit easier this time around because he's not cutting into the meat. I think now he's been able to, possibly be more at a maintenance level. He still has had a little bit more post about training being up and down than usual, though. Definitely his squat and his bench took a hit from the weight cut. His deadlift really didn't, though. His deadlift barely, he was hitting an 800-pound deadlift, and he's still hitting 780 plus. I fully expect him to be able to go 780 plus. The thing is what can we expect from his squat and his bench? Because that's where it's really taking a hit. He's not squatting 700 plus anymore. He's not squatting or not benching close to 500. I mean, at the meet, he squatted 634. He benched 435. I mean, I think it would be great if he probably could add 5 to 10 pounds on each of those since then. The big advantage there, though, Bryce hits lifts, and he's going to have Matt Gary in his corner. Even if he's not the strongest on the day, like I could see Jamar being one of the ones that has a super high ceiling. Same with Connor. I see them having a very high ceiling. But the fact of the matter is in these situations, no one in this session, in this class, has more experience than Bryce Lewis when it comes to direct head-to-head competition. And that's where, even if he isn't the strongest, I give him a notch up because of that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good breakdown there. I think the real battle here is going to be Bryce, Connor, and Jamar. Cam, I would agree with you on that one. I think he's possibly hurt from it being 90 kilos now as opposed to 93. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Cam. He is just a unit. He is big, jacked. He, didn't have a whole lot of fat on his body at 93. So cutting down to 90 might be a little bit more difficult for him. Yeah, and you said it really well there with Bryce. I mean, we have a whole lot of information on him. And what is going to take the biggest hit from the weight cut is going to be squat and bench. That's typical with everyone. Now let's. I want to move on to Jamar Royster though, because I think he's a person who, I think when this weight class was announced, he was like, "You got to put this guy at the front of it, right?"
We called it the Jamar weight class. Like we thought this was for him, and I really did think he would. He still is. I mean, I don't think he's the favorite to win because we got Brandon, but he's in the thick of it for sure.
Yeah, he had the big critique, which I guess he's doing it again, which all right, have fun, was him competing at 82 and a half or 83 kilos. He was just getting too big for the weight class. So his performance showed that every single time he would compete at 83, you would have a down performance, and he still made some progress, but just not progressing as much as the 83s. And because of that, the reason why is because of the big weight cut he had to take. 90 kilos, he still probably has to cut down for 90 kilos, not too much. I'm probably going to spot him like maybe 3 to 4 kilos he would have to cut down to. But we see what he could do with the Virginia Pro. His numbers hold up. That was at 93. He's going to have the big squat of the session. He kills you on subtotal, but that deadlift, I think if it was him and Connor going head to head, I would see something there. But Petrie's pull is just so strong. Like you gotta be over 700 pounds. Jamar has this pull where he's leverage gifted for squat and bench. Pull, he's done a fantastic job progressing his pull, but it's still going to be a struggle for him. His lockout slows down right at the end. It causes him to get a little bit longer of a down command, and I think that is going to be the biggest thing holding him back. I don't know if he has the big enough squat and the big enough bench to really stick with Brandon and Connor within the subtotal. But when you get to that deadlift, like it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt, and especially considering you need more of a 700-pound pull. Now he posted a 683 today. This episode airing could be different now. It looked to be a 9. Probably could have went up from there a couple kilos, but I have him topping out at like 700 to 705 on meet day.
Yeah, I mean, we saw last year, it was before kind of the weight cut in nationals. He had that block where he hit that 770 squat that seemingly wasn't like that hard. That was like, he's about to be the greatest squatter in the world. He hasn't quite since repeated that. Not that it's been bad by any means. He hit 742 for a double, but he just hasn't quite repeated that same level. I'm going to bet, knowing what he tried to do at the VA Pro, knowing where numbers are right now, I'm going to bet he's shooting for like 760, 424, and 700. I think that's doable. But you're traveling, you're going to nationals, you're going head to head. There's always we always over predict for nationals. No one hardly ever hits what we predict because nationals is a different beast. Even versus like the VA Pro or the Arnold, even though you have to travel and you have to, it's different because of the head-to-head competition and what's on the line there, and being in prime time, all the factors of it. I've got 750, 413, 691. I think it'd be a fantastic meet. It's just that puts him right with everyone else. And a person too that could easily hop in here is Andre Easter. Hasn't competed since Carolina Primetime. He doesn't post a whole lot of training, but I know he's been eyeing this. He has been eyeing the pro card. He has been eyeing Primetime, and he is super motivated for this. I know going back, you know more about this, Angelo, because I really didn't get to watch. I watched it, but I think I was traveling. I forget what I was doing. I think I watched the tail end of it. Did he lock out but get called for a technicality on his third deadlift at Carolina Primetime?
That I do not remember. That's going to go really back in my memory. I just know that he missed, and Petrie was able to kind of go in and pull what he wanted to hit for the win. But I mean, if we're going way back, I do remember this a preview for Carolina Primetime talking about like, I think it was you. Like, I don't know what's going on with his training, and then I actually found his Instagram page. I'm like, oh, his training's looking good. And it looked every bit as good as Carolina Primetime. It was really good. I don't know how training's going from now. He's a guy who doesn't really post. He's an adult. He's got adult things to do. He's a father. So he's got, a lot of things, but this guy's coming to compete, and he's coming to compete for the podium spot. Andre's a beast. It's hard. He's getting it because I think he built a lot of momentum like in 2019 around the Arnold, and then he had a child, and I could be misremembering things, and it kind of like life slows you down. But when you see him just get full throttle towards training and focus on it, he's one of the better 93s, 90 kilo lifters in the world, and don't know how 90 kilo affects him, but I don't think it'll have that big an effect. Also, he's kind of another one of those unbothered guys. I think at Carolina Primetime, he like forgot his singlet or some shit. I don't know. I don't remember if I'm remembering that correctly, but he was chill the entire time. And I think when this competition rolls around, you're going to see a solid meet from Andre. And yeah, he could find himself into a top 3 position. I'm really excited to see what he does.
I concur. I actually have him in my top. That's who I was going to mention because I do remember seeing him at Carolina Primetime. I'm pretty sure it was technicality because I did watch the whole meet. So I have him getting a pretty decent deadlift PR over what he did at Carolina. I have him at about 730 deadlift, and I actually have him totaling around around 1840. So I think he'll be hopefully pretty strong on meet day. I wish he posted. Literally all we have is like a 562 by 4 sumo deadlift, which is not telling at all, but still.
Yeah, and then we got Dominique Fuqua. I know very little about him. Competed back in January, hit an 1830 total. Training's going well now. Just deadlifted 688.3 fairly easily. Hit 672 for a PR in squat back in April. He's right in the thick of it too. I don't think he quite has the experience in these situations like Bryce or Connor or Cameron or Jamar do. But that's what I said. Like, I mean, Cameron, Connor, Bryce, Jamar, Dominique, Andre, you could throw them in a hat and pick them out of the hat in a random lottery and place top 2 and 3. And I don't think I could argue with it. All of them are there. I think it just comes down to just kind of situational stuff and trying to think of top end. I'll bring back the ceiling. Like, I think Connor has the highest ceiling.
Give me the ceiling.
I think Bryce has the best game day performance and strategy, which is why I've got them second and third.
Are we playing the lottery now then? All right, let's do it. Let's play the lottery.
If you got anything else to say, you can keep going, but I'm just going to say it.
No, it's not. I mean, it's definitely not straightforward, but it's like the meeting of so many different techniques. You know what I mean? You got Bryce Lewis. We say it so many times, but one of the more veteran lifters in all of powerlifting. And then you have, Petrie, who's just been in this like amazing little like whirlwind of success recently, right? Like so many great things have happened to Petrie, and he's just all over the place. Like 100 kilos,
a craft bubble, if you will.
Yes, so much craft. I mean, like 93 last year, incredible. Goes to 100, Virginia Pro, incredible. Now to 90, he's the front runner to win this weight class. It's a really interesting weight class when you take it. Then you have like the most aesthetically pleasing lifter, Connor Borkert, the best looking squat I think in powerlifting. It's just it's beautiful, and his bench press is upping towards 500 pounds. So I let's play the lottery here. Let's see what's gonna happen. I'll go first.
Wait.
I have well, what's
Yes or no? Do you think Petrie total is 2K?
no. I don't think you should try. Unless he should try if he has it wrapped up by second pull. Then do whatever the fuck you want. Like you have nothing else aside from the Arnold Pro Series finale that it would be definitely in. And that's another thing we have to look at. Petrie's up there. Ashton, Daniel Clements, Bob. You have a performance, keep it at 90. You could possibly be a winner here.
I agree.
Interesting fun fact. I did some quick dots analysis. If I take Petrie at 1973 and I take Dan Clements at 1636, Dan Clements has 3 points higher on dots.
All right. Give some respect to the lightweights. Yeah, and again, I think a person who was kind of disrespected after the Virginia Pro is Daniel Clemens, because we talked about Bob, Petrie, Ash, deservedly so, but Clemens, if you go on dots, is the third best lifter there. Okay, can we play the lottery now?
Go.
All right. Petrie number one. I think what he's doing right now in the gym and what he's done in past meets puts him in this weight class as well. And I don't know what the guy's going to do after this. Hopefully we see a really good performance from him. It doesn't seem like the momentum as high as it was going into Virginia Pro. I have trained with him a few times to know this. The momentum's not always there for him, but I think he's got enough just in the bag here. I think 2 and 3 are going to be the big ones. Whew. I am going to go Connor Borkert as my number 2. I want to see the redemption. I think he's capable of redeeming himself. Excellent lifter. Brad Couillard being in his corner is going to help. I think they fixed the problems that they had last nationals, and you're going to see Connor Borkert get that podium position. And third, I'm going to go with my man, Jamar Royster. I have him and Bryce kind of like up in the air, and also Andre Easter. I'm still not totally massive fan of cutting down from 105 to 90 kilos. I think that's affects your performance quite a bit. Bryce Lewis still has handled it incredibly well. Like it's kind of weird how well he's handled it. But Jamar Royster, I think this is his time. You're going to see him get within the top 3 here, put his best foot forward, and I trust him a little bit more than Bryce Lewis. I was close, though, with all of them and Andre Easter.
Okay, I'm going Petrie for first. I'm going my teammate Connor Borker for second. I'm going to put Andre Easter in third slot.
All right, I already played my cards. Brandon first. Our teammate Connor Borkert. I do lift, Solana.
I'm sorry.
Brad does coach me. Yeah, I do lift, and Brad does coach me. And then I've got Bryce third. I just can't. I can't overlook Bryce's experience in these situations. And the fact that he hits lifts, because we know people are going to miss lifts. None, if hardly any of these people are going 9 for 9, except maybe Bryce Lewis. The only thing I worry with Bryce is if he try and over pull and try and pull in the second, and then that would open up the door for someone else to hop in the third. But I think purely based off of game day strategy and strength, Bryce third.
Yep, definitely a clinical lifter. Him at 90 is going to be a lot of fun. All right. On to the 100 kilo weight class. one of the more looked at.
I think you mispronounced that. You said that wrong. Not
What's the
100
joke?
It's called the Bob Matthews weight class. It's called the Bob Matthews weight class.
Oh, okay. I'm like, where's the joke going? Where are we going here with this joke? Bob, man, I mean, fuck it. Let's start with Bob. Bob has been on a absolute warpath. He has been the most hype lifter since the Virginia Pro. The Virginia Pro is kind of like in the middle of the hype, and it's only gotten more insane since then. He's looking like one of the best lifters in the world right now. He's got to put on the platform, and it's crazy to see what happens when he just move up a weight class, right? 93 kilos last year, we're having the conversation. Maybe Bob could squeeze into top 3. He has the potential. 100 kilos, he's the favorite by far, and we're talking not only Bob going into this and winning his weight class easily, but him challenging Ashton Ruska of being the best lifter in the USAPL and winning the entire Pro Series. That's what Bob is doing, and this weight class is similar to the 105s because you got everything. You got big lifts and big dudes doing them. It attracts the regular audience. Weight classes attract certain crowds in powerlifting. If you are a person who's just walking around and you see someone like Bob Matthews, Marcus Adudu, Kyle Power, Kai Zhao just doing their thing, you're incredibly impressed. Like, you immediately could associate like, whoa, an 800-pound deadlift? That's insane. I don't know how that's possible. That's what you're going to see with this weight class. I think we have a pretty good, pretty interesting podium position here, because then it gets really interesting. Marcus Adudu, who I thought would be 90. He's at 100 kilos. I think still a good move. I mean, if he doesn't want to make the cut to 90, don't. I think he was hurt many years for trying to cut down to 82 and a half, or not. Man, I'm getting 83 is what he was cutting at, and I think that hurt his performance a lot. We saw what he could do at 93. It was a good performance. I think he got 7th, and you saw progress there. So 100, he's a definite contender there. The return of Kyle Power, I'm excited for it. A teammate of mine under Game Day. He used to have the biggest deadlift in the 93 kilo weight class until Ashton Ruska decided to break it. He's looking great though. He's definitely within a podium position. Lorenzo Wright, excellent lifter. I think he might be, with all the big shiny names, he might be kind of overlooked at times. Because you guys, I mean, like Bob, Marcus, Kai, they're pretty well known. They have those big lifts that got him a lot of like attention from the powerlifting fans. But Lorenzo's up there. Kai Zhao, unbelievable pull, just continuously gets stronger. He's going to be at a point where I think he's going to be within a podium position. I don't think it's now, but we're going to definitely be looking at that pull. And I'm not going to lie, Jonathan Hill, not quite familiar with his some of his training.
Okay,
Unless I'm missing something here.
Because I'm going to straight up say it, and I don't even think it's a debate. We talked about most jacked lifter in the USAPL last year, and we debated. It's no longer a debate because Jonathan Hill is the most jacked lifter, maybe in all of powerlifting,
and I know you're talking
or untested. I am insecure
I know you're talking about
when I watch his videos because of how freaking jacked and shredded he is. And the lifts are starting to back it up.
If we're talking about Marcus Adudu, that was my pick as the most aesthetically pleasing, most jacked powerlifter in the USAPL. Yeah, you showed me Jonathan. I'm like, okay, I'm going Marcus. I'm just going to do it. Marcus is a unit.
I'm going Jonathan. Jonathan. So do we want to move on? That's really what matters. We don't need to actually predict the weight class. You got Marcus winning best. I mean, well, honestly, female perspective is what matters. The tiebreaker. Maybe we don't need to put Salon in that position because then
you don't need
to. Well, how am I not? It's hard for me. I'm gonna be just blatantly honest. I love chocolate since now. I'm gonna go with.
Wasn't expecting to go there. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, you put it in my corner. Hold on. We gotta. Let's get a second to just relook. Let's just relook. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, take as much time as you need.
I'm just disappointed you don't have their post saved already. I would have if I was a female. Honestly, as a male, I do. I'm about to. So, all right.
talk a lot about this on Two White Lights. I'm surprised we haven't gotten at least one person weirded out by it. We do talk a lot about most jacked person in powerlifting.
I mean, we all know as men, we have all realized getting jacked just attracts other men, not women. That is what we have all realized. So therefore, I don't think it creeps anyone out. We just now take it as compliment that other men are now looking at us and sometimes not looking at their wife and instead looking at Jonathan Hill's legs.
All right. Well, all right. So where do we got these as far as rankings go? Because this one can be all over the place too. I mean, because I don't think we could. I don't think any of us can take or pick against Bob right now, right? Like you'd be foolish to. It's just hard to do. All right.
Bob
so
probably wins on openers.
Ooh.
I think his numbers.
I've got him winning by 180 pounds.
I have him winning by a good 150 pounds.
He's a unit. He's up there. He's the guy now. I think he's one of the men. He's one of the guys you're looking at. He's just the target. But I think within the podium positions, we're going to see the battles and the pull for the wins, and it's really hard to pick from these guys. I don't really know where to go. I'm going to put my main contenders here with Marcus, Kyle, and Lorenzo. I think it's going to be jostling between them. I think Kyle and Jonathan are still kind of outside of it.
I've got Marcus solidly in second. He just hit a 711 by 2 squat PR. He attempted 801 on deadlift and failed it. It kind of told me maybe he has like 770 to 775 based on how it moved. Bench 424 with a touch more in the tank. Where I've got him at like 1935. I'm not quite sure anyone else can touch 1935. From that, after Marcus, in my opinion, I think it's between Kyle and Jonathan Hill. I actually was leaning toward Jonathan Hill until I saw Kyle's 680 or 683 squat. I think he just posted, or 685. Kyle just competed to get the QT because he needed one since he hadn't competed since the Arnold in 2020. And apparently he got hurt pretty close to that, like 2 weeks out. And so he didn't kind of go to full capacity, but he said he squatted 705. And I kind of wanted to see proof that he was back and that like 680 something squat he did looked like he can squat 705. Based on that, and then based on how the other attempts move, I can see Kyle going like 1900. And so it kind of goes back to I trust Kyle to maybe hit lifts more than Marcus. Marcus has a little bit more of a sketchy track record with hitting lifts. Like he's a 7 for 9 type of guy. But obviously with him going up the weight class, I like that. I like that move a lot for him because I think it's going to make it more consistent. I can see him going 8 for 9, 9 for 9 this meet. And Marcus likely has a bigger pull than Kyle. Kyle's known to be a really clutch third attempt puller, but he probably doesn't have the final pull over Marcus. And then Jonathan Hill, if you aren't looking at his Instagram, go look at it because some of the stuff he's been posting is insane. I mean, he squatted 705 like really easy lately. He actually just did a mock meet. He hit 736, 426, but then his deadlift went really bad. But I think I saw in his story that recently he hit a 770 deadlift. I don't know if that's 100% true. I know he hit 738 and it was pretty easy and it looked like he could have done 770. But if he hits anywhere near that, honestly, that would actually rival Marcus with where I've got the numbers.
Yeah. What's going on here? Feels like someone tried to. Okay. Yeah. It's hard to. Oh man. Yeah. I'm looking right now. I would probably agree with you with Marcus being my second. Yeah, sometimes a little erratic on meet day, but I think with 100 kilo, like I at least don't have to worry about weight cut anymore. Like he's there. He's at the weight class. He's at, I think, the perfect weight class for him. I think we could potentially see him build to a point where he's trying to challenge for a top spot, but I would have him in the second spot. But with that third spot, I really don't know because Lorenzo Wright, I think people sleep on him, and he is a beast lifter. And I remember, I just know how much progress he's made in his powerlifting career, and it's been pretty great to see. That big pull from Kyle though. That big pull from Kyle, I think, could get him into a good position. Bob would be the best deadlifter, I think. Well, yeah, that's another sub debate. Who's gonna have the biggest pull? Is it gonna be Bob or Kai Zhao?
Bob. Kai's got a great pull, but there's some question marks with it. He's been having some issues with grip, and sometimes lockout I feel is a little sketchy at some of those higher weights. Bob has, I mean, honestly, he's just the perfect lifter right now. I don't have any question marks with Bob. Like, I don't have any. Like, his squat's deep, his bench looks solid, and his deadlift, he doesn't have a grip issue, and he locks it out. Like, I have zero questions. Bob is my idol.
Yeah, you were a big Bob stan last year too, but the only
Bob. Well, fun fact, I think I mentioned on before. Apparently, Bob told me this. He was about to run my free program, and was about to start it, but then reached out to Marcellus, and Marcellus started coaching him. Good decision, but what could have been? What could have been?
Yeah, he could have been. He could have been what Lane Norton is to me. He could have been. Bob could have been Steve DeNovi's shadow coach. I would agree with you on Kai over there, and then Bob is kind of like building this thing. But yeah, last year I remember you were really high on Bob in the 93 kilo weight class. And the only question I think for Bob, the only thing I question is the spotters and loaders he occasionally has at his gym. They're giving me the biggest worry at times because I've seen a few videos from like, okay, guys, just be careful on the re-rack. We don't want to have one of the best lifters in the world who has all the momentum in the world get a little snapped up before injury. But I mean, Bob was doing like 500-pound squats and flip flops like 4 years ago for YouTube and Instagram clout.
Bob's a god. He's invincible. He will not.
He's on another planet. He's on another world.
Well, he was smarter than all of us. All right, do you want to do all that stunt training was to create incredible injury resiliency, so now he can do anything he wants and it never affects him.
He never got hurt. Never got hurt doing that crazy shit. I remember. Just a little going back in history. I remember Bob when like people were sending me the videos, and he got a lot of hate for the shit that he did. Like people were not fans of Bob Matthews, and he seemed like he was just a guy having a good time. But people were like, "Oh, there's something about him I don't like." And I'm like, "Okay," and and they were like, "Hey, go do a powerlifting meet. Why is this guy avoiding powerlifting meets?" Well, he did nationals. He tied, I think, Duardley for best 93 kilo. Duardley won. Was it on body weight, or did Duardley just eke him out? Because he was one of the best juniors in 2019, and then 2021 rolls around. He was jumping into the top 5 range. Now he's respected by all, loved by all. No one has anything bad to say about Bob Matthews anymore. It's his character arc has been fantastic. You couldn't write it up any better.
Was that an anime reference?
No, that's a regular TV show reference because there's TV shows outside of the realm of anime. I have to explain this to people. Yeah, because something was said once in anime doesn't mean that it applies to every literal thing that's ever been said.
I'm just going to say that's an anime reference, and we're going to roll with that.
All right, awesome. Have fun with it.
Speaking of that, Angelo, you should have to go first for the first time ever. So go.
Didn't you go?
Bob.
Maybe you just went.
I felt like I just went first last time.
Probably.
Yeah, I think I did.
But all right, Solana first. I already said my top 3, I think.
No, I'm saying, Steve, didn't you say your top 3 already? Like,
yeah, you went. Yeah, you went. All right,
Bob.
So I'll be going
first.
I thought I had control of this. And apparently I don't anymore. Yeah, so Steve had Bob, Marcus, Kyle. I have Bob, Marcus, and I'm going to be boring and go Kyle too.
Okay.
How about you, Solana?
I will not be boring besides Bob because we have to say Bob. So Bob, and I'm going to say Lorenzo because Marcus misses a lift and gets third. Or a lift or two.
All right. I'm glad to see Lorenzo get some love there.
Since Angelo chose Kyle third, I'm going to change mine to Jonathan Hill for fun. Because I was already on the fence between the two, and just for the fun of it, I'm going to go Jonathan Hill because just like being on the Bob bandwagon last year, I want to be on the Jonathan Hill bandwagon this year and be able to roll with that in the next year and take credit for that.
And you got an obvious man crush on him, so that probably plays into it, right? Just like your romantic interest in me and Jonathan Hill,
and Charlie Dixon.
Yeah,
Charlie
a lot of us. Oh yeah, Charlie Dixon was your number one. Was your number one?
But our friend at Hybrid's taken him. Candace. He's no longer on the market.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're together.
That's sick.
Looks like they're doing really well.
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, the disappointment in your face and tone has been noted here. But all right, we talked a lot about man crushes. I know one way you guys can all get a man crush is if you wear some Leffler Bros attire at every single part of your day, because I guarantee you're going to look a whole lot better if you put on some Leffler Bros in the gym, outside of the gym, on the platform, off the platform. People are going to admire you. They're going to think your attire is just downright sexy. The joggers, the cutoff tees, the dad hats, the socks. I got a lot of compliments on my socks. The beautiful pink and blue socks. Leffler Bros has the best designs in powerlifting. You guys already know. Go to lefflerbros.com. Follow them on Instagram. Support all that they're doing in powerlifting because they support powerlifting. They have sponsored a lot of athletes who didn't have a lot of sponsorships, and now they do, and they're all very good lifters. A lot of them will be competing at Raw Nationals. Actually, most of them will be competing at Mega Nationals. So use promo code 2WL15 to save yourself some money on all Leffler Bros merchandise. Also, if you're a fan of Two White Lights, you can get some merchandise still on lefflerbros.com as well. So follow them on Instagram. Make sure you are using that promo code 2WL15 and going to their website and get the best powerlifting merchandise in the sport. I'm wearing a shirt. I'm actually going to turn my hat forward for the remainder of the show so you guys can see it. And also, we're going to talk about the 110 kilo weight class. I mean, if 100 kilo... Yes, I was about to say, if 100 kilo was Bob, I guess this weight class is the Ashton weight class. What do you guys think? Is there any challenge here? Last year he had a fight. He still had to fight for 105. He won it. I think on his second pull he was able to pull it out. But is there any chance? I would say the person who would challenge him is David Wilson, who has beat him before in comp. But that was a long time ago in 93. Is there anyone who challenges?
Not close enough. I have him winning by 150 pounds, 200 pounds.
Yeah, I got him by 160. I mean, I'm not going to say he wins on openers because Ashton opens really, really light. So he won't win on openers. He's got to hit his second attempts. But the biggest interest here is, from what we know, Ashton is supposedly going to actually unleash his 3 strongest lifts. He always does this game where he does variations, where he does conventional or he does close grip, and he doesn't actually do his 3 strongest lifts, which is his normal squat, a wider grip bench press, and then his sumo deadlift. And apparently he's doing it, supposedly either this and or the VA Pro, he's going to unleash it. And I know the goal is somewhere between a 2150 to a 2200 total. I got him at 2180, which I think is very much in the realm. I mean, a big tell of kind of how he's feeling is the fact that he went and hit an 804 squat, and just to kind of prove to himself how nonchalant that is, he decided not to get spotters for his 804 squat. Yeah, that's a lot of weight. But yeah, I think he's pretty clear.
The condescending his lifts bother me. I think everything he does is condescending. The variations, him doing things without spotters, him just randomly just not doing stuff in knee sleeves and belts. I don't know. I think he could be a heel in powerlifting just because of how good he is.
I don't think so, because me and him are already planning to play Magic the Gathering at Nationals, and people who play Magic the Gathering aren't heels. Inside joke, only Angelo's laughing here.
Yeah,
he actually did. He actually did message me
Yeah,
to
he
bring
does.
Magic the Gathering cards to Nationals. That is the actual thing. But yes.
That'll be fantastic.
yes.
You guys play Magic the Gathering while we're all actually playing cards and gambling on things. You guys can just be in your hotel rooms playing Magic the Gathering. Yeah, that was one of the greatest jokes of all time, or best like roasts just at that table. You can't, I mean, it's one of those had to be their stories, but yeah, Ashton-Ruska. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you play Magic the Gathering in as an opposing figure as Ashton-Ruska, you can't be a heel. You just have to be beloved by everyone.
Yeah. Well, tell us. I think the story's still funny, even without. I mean, being there was funnier. But quick story: we're all at Post Arnold. There's like 20 people at this table at Cheesecake Factory. Ashton's talking about a whole bunch of things, and he started talking about Magic the Gathering. And out of the blue, like in the talk, he points like, "Steve, you played it, right?" And it was very obviously pointed to the skinny white guy who kind of looks nerdy. It was very, very obvious.
Yeah, well, the fun because I think he was asking everyone at the table, like, hey, you know, Magic the Gathering. We're all sitting there like, no, what the fuck you talking about? I was like, Steve, I know your ass played Magic the Gathering before, and the turn to him, and then Steve's like, okay, yeah, I played it, but yeah, clearly it was skinny, white, dirty looking guy.
I said it first, I said, what is that supposed to mean? I said, because I did play it.
Yeah. So Ashton-Ruska is the strongest Magic the Gathering player in the world, and I guess like 100 kilo weight classes. If we're looking at this, you're looking at 2 and 3, the big podium positions. David Wilson right now. I mean, you have the Ashton-Ruska show, but David Wilson is creating a lot of momentum. I since the Virginia Pro, actually the Virginia Pro was an excellent meet from like really like what I've seen from him at that meet. Since I'm very excited to see what he does post Virginia Pro. Is there all right? Better question: is he a lock for second?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I would say yes.
He's as much a lock for second as Ashton is a lock for first, in my opinion.
I have him above.
Okay.
I have everyone else by over 100 pounds.
Yep, I got him by 140. I mean, he hits lists. Training is trending really well. He just posted a 794 deadlift today. I mean, I expect nothing. I mean, he's hit some massive lifts. If it wasn't for Ashton, we'd be talking about Dave Wilson doing incredible things at 110. I mean, he hit a 705 squat for a triple. He deadlifted 860 in straps, which in reality, straps really don't give him a ton. Like he actually usually can hit it. He just uses straps for kind of hand health, I believe. And the bigger thing with him is his bench is trending up. He just hit a 452 bench, which is big because his last meet, the VA Pro, hit 419. I mean, like I said, I mean, we'd be talking about David Wilson doing one of the biggest totals in powerlifting at 110 if it wasn't for Ashton being in this class.
I love watching his squat.
All right. Well, I mean,
it's like full blown equipped lifter looking squat.
If you, I mean, much more aesthetically pleasing than a multiply squat. That's for damn sure. I got a lot of those recently. And you go to Iron Vault, think the whitest squatter in powerlifting. I believe the title is David Wilson's up there. Yeah, he's a very interesting lifter to watch on all three lifts. And really one of the better people to go to as far as information goes. I think him and Steve Denovi kind of take that as far as free information that they're giving out. They do some of the best in powerlifting. All right, so that begs the question. So we both kind of calling David Wilson a lock at second. So I guess our predictions are going to get in third, and I think that's when things get interesting because then for third, I think it's up there. I can't really find who a clear third would be out of all these.
I've got 4 people who I think are battling for third. We got Tevin Jones, Camden Wilson, Diedrich Rucker, and Preston Savoy. And interesting storylines behind all of them. Tevin Jones and Camden Wilson, interesting storyline there. They competed directly head-to-head at a meet back in February, which is interesting. They both totaled 1857. I think Camden won on body weight. I might be wrong there. Either way, their lists were pretty maximal. Like they obviously could progress since then, but they were maximal. Like I don't expect a whole ton over that. Diedrich Rucker did not have a great meet at the Arnold. He was hitting a lot bigger lifts in training, and I don't know all of the factors that went in the Arnold. The lifts were pretty easy because he really just wasn't able to kind of showcase his strength. And then Preston Savoy, who I think we unofficially stated was the most jack lifter at collegiate nationals, has officially switched solely to raw powerlifting. He did a qualifying meet in May, and he on squat and bench, that was decent maxes. They were third attempts. On deadlift, it sounded like he didn't have a great day, and he likely had more in the tank. As well as the fact if he's solely training raw now and he's a young dude, I kind of wonder what his potential is. So I look at we have some others there that are kind of on the outskirts, but I really look at Tevin, Camden, Diedrich, and Preston as really those four who I think are the favorites looking at that third place spot.
I think what's cool too is like Tevin's doing his first meet for the first time in like 9 years. Like that was his first meet for the first time in like 9 years. So just to see him come back and like hit some good numbers, like I wonder, I don't know if he took a break, but like it could kind of be like new beginnings again if he did take a break. It's been so long. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think it was Texas high school powerlifting. So he obviously just didn't compete. We'll call it regular powerlifting because Texas high school powerlifting is a little world and culture.
Yeah,
he has a football background, right? If I'm not mistaken, he has was that the reason why it was just a football career?
I don't think so. That's not. There's a Tevin Jones. There's a Tevin Jones in the NFL. That's not the same Tevin Jones. That's not the same Tevin Jones.
No, I'm not talking about the one in the NFL. Obviously, unless I thought potentially with like college or something. If his first meet is Texas High School Powerlifting Association, maybe collegiate football was kind of keeping him from that. I could be really wrong on that.
So not sure on that. I don't know much about him. Like Solana said, just his first meet in a very long time. Camden, a young guy, one of the flex team coaches. He doesn't really post his lifts on Instagram, so I had to dig through his YouTube because we had false intel. Someone in a group chat was trying to tell us that Camden squatted 765. That was incorrect. I will no longer take anything that person says as truth from here on forward. But he's doing well.
Yeah, it took you about 3 much because I don't believe after collegiate nationals anything of what these people would tell me about any lifter ever and anything else. I just assume everything's bullshit that comes out of their mouth in that group chat.
Yeah. What I saw on his YouTube, training looks like it's going decently well, but I didn't see anything specific that was like he's going to PR way over those numbers. And so that's why it's hard between these four, because then Diedrich isn't posting it all. And then Preston just competed, and we pretty much saw his hand outside of knowing what possibly his deadlift is. So all of these, it's really just kind of like a lot of the things we talk about, just kind of roll the dice. Like, who do we think is possibly going to be in this position and is the best suited? And I'll go first. I'll give my opinion. I like Preston. I think Preston, even though he's young, is a fairly experienced lifter because of his equipped background. Collegiate national champion. I really, really, really like his potential going into Raw. I mean, if you see him, the dude is just a unit, and I really think he's going to be a name we're going to be talking about, battling for second possibly within the next couple of years, and totaling 2K, just with kind of what I see his potential as. So I like Preston for third right now. Ashton solidly first, David solidly second, and if I'm going to go between Tevin, Camden, Diedrich, and Preston, just because of possibly recency bias, but at least seeing the training and seeing kind of the positivity and how it's going, I like Preston for third.
All right, how about you, Solana?
Cool. All right. So for my third place, Ashton and then David, sorry. And then for my third place, I think I'm gonna go with Tevin. It's tough for me to choose because like Diedrich, like me and you both watched that meet, Angela. We were commentating it, and like he got all the squats. I can't remember if like you know what happened. Like he got the squats, but something was going on, and he didn't get it for real until the third time.
So I talked to Joe afterwards. He said his first squat, Diedrich said like a flashbang went off in his head or something. Like that was the feeling of the squat. Like I think Joe gave me a little bit more description on what exactly happened. I think it just got to him. like, because he opened up with 300 kilos, and he missed the first two. Like, I think he missed the first one bad, missed the second one on depth, and really was able to hit the third one relatively easily. Then had himself a solid meet after that, but said just that first squat, like, that's how he described it. Like a flashbang went off. So I don't know. Joe could probably tell me exactly what happened with that, but that's not a good feeling. That's for damn sure.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, that's why I'm hesitant to put him up here because I don't know how he'll perform on meet day. And then, so for me, it was between Tevin and like Preston, and I'm choosing Tevin because we just saw Preston compete. And he could definitely, if he gets the last deadlift that he missed, he could definitely get third. But since he missed it recently, I'm gonna say he missed it again, and Tevin gets third.
All right. Well, for myself here, I think if you guys are all gonna go with, so we have Steve with Preston, Solana with Tevin. I will have Ashton, David, and I'm gonna go with Camden Wilson. Um, Also, something about those Texas lifters. I don't know. Is he from California? I trained with him in Texas. That's all I know. I actually don't know where he's from. That's bad journalism on my end. But yeah, Camden, I think he get third. Polish lifter, coach as well. I think you'll get some maturity on the platform from him as well. Excited to see that third place battle though, because yeah, you could really pick from four lifters there, and then get a different result. All right, so that'll do it for 110 kilos. We are about an hour into this episode, and I need to pick me up. I wish I had some obsidian smelling salts right beside me because I would take a hit of that right now and get through the next hour of this episode because it wakes your ass up. If you are doing a podcast or most importantly, hitting a big lift, get some obsidian ammonia on hypedust.com. Use promo code 2WL15 to get all their different smelling salts. They hit differently. I'm not joking. I'm not being facetious when I say that. Obsidian smelling salts hit differently depending on what you get. Ease into it. Open that lid just a bit. Put your nose close and closer, and it'll wake you up for a deadlift, a squat, a bench, whatever you need. Hell, potentially a podcast that you're recording. Use that promo code 2WL15 to save yourself some money on hypedust.com. All right, 125 kilo weight class. We had a late development here, at least from what I saw, at the Iron Triathlon with Kevin Wynn. Kevin Wynn killed it at that meet. That was a really impressive meet on Kevin's part. And I think going into it, Jared Martin, Blake Atwell, were the guys we were looking at there. Kevin Wynn possibly put himself into a top contender spot.
Yeah, I mean this class is really a 3-horse race. I would be pretty, barring something happens. I see Jared Martin, Blake Atwell, and Kevin Wynn being the top 3. They're pretty well established over Nathan Alexander. There's a couple other people in there that I'm very excited to watch, and we'll talk about those in a bit. But Jared, Blake, and Kevin are definitely the front runners. And Jared's got to be the favorite to win. We've known about Jared for a while, but he really, if there's a way to have a second breakout meet, because he's kind of been semi-hidden behind Dennis Cornelius for years. He's always been this second fiddle to Dennis. Jared had a huge Arnold. Ended up polling for the win over Eric Lapointe to win the Arnold Pro. And a huge meet for him, 2061 total. Him and Jared and Blake have been pretty neck and neck for a while, and that really separated Jared. Jared's now coming in almost nominated 80 pounds heavier. And so when I was going into this, I was thinking Jared, easy favorite, Blake, easy second. And then Kevin came out of nowhere. And Kevin's meet was easy. Those lifts were not that hard, especially squat and deadlifts. He definitely had more, hit a 2,000 pound total with more in the tank. I don't know if he can challenge Jared, but if Jared slips at all and doesn't have the meet he's expecting, Kevin could have. Yeah, I don't know. That one's interesting. Those top three could get shuffled anyway based on kind of how the day plays out.
Another interesting thing, I don't know if you're reading Kevin's post, but he said that he like accidentally weighed in like super light, and he was 6 pounds underneath the weight of the weight class. So I'm like, okay, if you actually are not dumb and you eat more food going into the meet, that could really help you out. Just like being lighter and eating into it.
Yeah, I think because Kevin Wynn, I think, found his weight class here at 125 kilos because I think previously he was 120 kilos and he lost. I mean, I don't think he even placed at Collegiate Nationals. I think that was his previous competition. Could be wrong there. But I think he was behind. He was behind Weeze, Paul, and I think he might have been third actually. So obviously 125 is good for him. Even if he's 6 pounds under, it just seems like not being 120 kilos works. And yeah, I got to see him front and center of that meet. It was a really good meet, but he's one of those lifters, from my understanding, it's easy until it isn't anymore. So that could be a little bit deceiving with RP.
Okay. Well, that's good information. Even with that, so one thing to note, Jared and Blake, Jared notoriously doesn't post his lifts. He never really posts much. Blake has been posting more. He used to not be a poster, but he's posting more, but nothing that I saw really notated that I couldn't be able to gauge progress off of it. He was actually, interesting, he was supposed to do the Arnold, and then he pulled out of that to do PA Nationals, and then apparently there was some kind of flight issue, and then he couldn't make it. So I believe he had to peak for PA Nationals and then didn't compete. So he went through the full prep for it and then didn't compete. But now, since he missed out on that, coming back to USAPL Nationals. We haven't seen him since Nationals of last year. So he hit a 1984 total. Jared hit 2061 at the Arnold. There could be some big progress from that. It's just hard to tell based off of what I'm seeing. But I'm likely thinking Jared's going to be pretty far out in front then with 2061. And I see Blake and Kevin right around that 2000 mark. And it's going to depend kind of who executes best on meet day. But the big caveat between Blake and Kevin is Kevin has a lot bigger pull. They have about identical squats, identical benches for the most part, but Kevin has a good amount on the pull over where Blake is.
Yes. Okay. So also, I mean, we're pretty much on the same page. Interesting fact, Jared Martin, you mentioned this, Steve, is coached by Ed Cohen, which is just really freaking cool. Yeah, Angela, he's coached by Ed Cohen.
Yeah. So fun fact.
I know.
I've heard this. I've heard this is the grapevine. We can now talk about it. Apparently, he's kind of apparently hidden this for a while because of the IPF. But since he's no longer under the IPF, he no longer needs to hide that he's coached by Ed Cohen, and he's finally now saying, for the most part, that he's coached by Ed Cohen. He would kind of allude to it, but he would kind of hide from the fact that he's coached by him until now. But yeah, Jared Martin is coached by Ed Cohen.
My eyes went up just because I'm like, wait, is this confident? Should we not like release it? Like, oh, okay, never mind. It's out.
He's posting about it now. He's posting about it now.
Oh, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I forgot about fun. Yeah. Funny. I mean, history lesson there. IPF and Ed Cohen. A lot of people, like, if you went to his seminars, you might be getting a suspension from the IPF. Yeah. Right. That was big, and that was actually a huge thing in powerlifting. If 2 white lights existed then, we would have a field day with that. That'll be some great content for us. But and it is badass though. Having Ed Cohen as your coach, that is pretty great. I had 3-horse race. Anything else to add, Solana?
Not really much. I'm ready to get predictions.
I'll give one more. Just a 2 white lights favorite. Carrington Amade is going to be making his 125 kilo debut. I don't know if he's going to be quite in the running. He's not going to be. I don't know if he's going to quite be in the running for top 3, but I am very excited to see what he does.
Pull. He's got the pull. Big Carry has got, I think, a lot of progress within him. I think you're going to see a lot from him in the near future as well. Just keeps getting bigger, keeps getting stronger. Lists are really following that big deadlift that he has. Because he's over 800, right? With the pull.
Yeah. He pulled 805 when he used to be at 105.
Yeah, he's definitely got a pull on him. So I'm really excited to see his numbers blow up too. 105 to 125. That's gonna be fun for Carrington. All right. Now, unless you have anything else to add, Steve, can we give predictions? I'll have you start.
Yep. I got Jared first, Kevin second, Blake third. I think that's pretty solidly, not based off of any scenario, just based off of the fact that I've got about 30 to 40 pounds between each of their projected totals.
Yeah. Is there gonna be any change between us on this one?
I don't think so.
I was thinking Kevin Wynn after this meet, but you just can't ignore Jared Martin's performance at the Arnold. It would be disrespectful if I put Ken Wynn ahead of Jared Martin based on a really easy meet from Kevin Wynn, which it was fantastic. But like Jared Martin went out and won the pro at the Arnold. So you gotta just give it to him at that point. Kevin Wynn though, definitely a lifter to watch for. It's going to be really, and he's a charismatic individual too. Plays to the audience quite a bit. He's when you get above the 90-kilo weight class, sometimes the extravagance kind of dies down. The bigger guys are a little bit more, they just don't. He's the dangling earrings, the points, he does takes a stare at the camera during the last deadlift. He's a showman out there. So you guys are in Sin City, you're gonna get a nice little viewing experience. All right. 140 kilos now. Let's talk about him. So with this weight class, would you say a 3-horse race as well?
Yep.
It's a 3-horse race, but this could be the best battle for first place at all of Royal Nationals of any weight class, because I have 3 people that I have separated by 10 pounds total. And it's not like they're uncompetitive. They're strong. They're very strong. We got Hagen Henderson, I believe a teen lifter or a very young lifter, just burst onto the scene with a meet he actually just did in Kansas. We got Dominic Melvin, Joey Flex athlete, who I think just recently switched over to USAPL, and then Michael Astrologo. All of them coming in with a basically 2,000-pound totals. Hagen Henderson, 2001, Dominic Melvin, 2017, Michael Astrologo, 2000. I mean, they're neck and neck and neck, and they are heavy hitters. We are going to have multiple. Hagen just squatted 810 in the gym. His last meet, he did 799. Dominic apparently didn't have a very good squat day, squatted 711. He squatted 750 multiple times since. And I think a big thing I've seen lately from him is that he's now training at a gym with kilo plates. I think that likely was something that was discussed that might have led to some inconsistencies come meet day on kind of how things felt different. And then Michael just competed. Oh, actually, fun fact, they all competed the same week in April. They all competed the same week to get their qualifying totals, and they all hit 2,000-pound totals. Because I was kind of worried looking at this class that this wasn't going to be a very good class and not competitive, and then boom, same week, three 2,000-pound totals. Michael, everything looked pretty easy. Squat had more for sure. Bench was easy. Deadlift looked easy, but maybe a little close to ramping. I don't know. This one could be the biggest. It's going to be overlooked because people don't know this, but it could be the biggest show of the meet.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I have everyone within 5 pounds of each other. You said 10, I have 5. Question for you, Steve. I was looking at everyone's Instagrams today. Dominic Melvin, how do you feel about his squat depth recently? I feel like it's borderline.
If you're alluding to borderline, I can see that a little bit. Now, he has a wider stance, and so sometimes it's a bit harder to judge. I don't know if that played into the squat performance. But yes, I have seen that a little bit. Hagen, no doubt on squat depth.
Nope.
There is no question mark there. That dude goes deep.
Same.
No issues mobility for a big dude. And same with Michael. So I think like I said, I think at least looking at the question marks, Hagen had a little bit a possible ramping issue. I'm going to be honest. The 749 deadlift he hit at his meet, I don't think would pass at a national level. Dominic has a little bit of a question mark on squat depth. And then, like I said, Michael has a little bit of a question when it comes to ramping on deadlift, which is very common. Once you get to these heavier weights, there tends to be a little bit more issue with ramping, and that tends to be almost more of the limiting factor than the actual strength.
Yeah, like I agree with you from Michael. I saw definitely some ramping. I feel like Hagen's in competition deadlift was pretty clean, but maybe I need to rewatch it. But I felt like it was okay. But yeah, like there are small factors that make stuff different too. Like Hagen's doing everything on pound plates, I believe, in the gym, which is fine, but it makes me wonder about the deadlift and like how that will really translate in competition. But at the same time, he's literally hitting the same number on pounds that he hit in kilos. Like he hasn't surpassed it. So I'm just wondering like if it'll really improve in time. But yeah, Dominic is looking like things are pretty clean, which is nice to see. Besides the death, being a living.
Yeah, and well, it is like kind of cool to see because it was just big performances that got these guys onto a scene. Like, yeah, like what Steve said, 140 kilo weight class. I was just it's one of the like the new weight classes. I mean, I know we say it's new, even though it's not new, but it's one of the like the weight classes we're not used to. So I'm like, I don't know if there's gonna be enough guys in the USAPL that can fill it. I know in the USPA there will be enough guys there that fill it, and then boom, you get like I think Hagen Henderson. He's been a talk of like if Hagen doesn't know this, like people are really taking an eye to Hagen. His lifts are really impressive, and he's young. So again, when you're young and you start putting up these big numbers, people start to look pretty closely. Now he hasn't had like he doesn't have one of those accolades really to go off of, but the elders and the people in high rankings in powerlifting are looking at Haig and being like, this guy is going to be a massive problem. Not Michael Esterlogo, I'm not too familiar with his training, and these are guys I'm kind of like, and same thing with Dominic. I'm kind of because of the meet coming up, like kind of just a more recent success. Not as particularly familiar with them.
Well, I'll start giving you kind of my thought process here. So, of those three, the lifter who had the worst meet was Dominic. Yet, he totaled the most. Hagen and Michael had a pretty darn near perfect meet with what it seemed like they were going for. Dominic underperformed. So he definitely has the most room to improve off of that if they've learned from that and can be able to do that. And with an experienced coach behind him, I think that's definitely doable. With that being said, Hagen's making some incredible progress. From what I remember, I don't think Michael posts a whole bunch, so I couldn't see anything where Hagen posts a ton, and so does Dominic. So I could definitely see where Hagen is making insane progress, and so it's almost like weekly he's being able to improve. But I'm leaning towards the fact that I feel like if I have to look at the ceiling right now, I feel like Dominic Melvin has the highest ceiling. I just look at what he is doing in the gym versus what he did in the meet. I don't believe he actually has to cut for anything. I feel like he had so much more in the tank that could have been potentially there. And if he unleashes that, it could be massive. Now, the question mark is like, if that happens again, I'm going to look very wrong because Hagen and Michael, I have zero doubt, are going to be able to improve off of their performances because Michael left a lot in the tank and then Hagen has improved notably. I mean, Hagen hit a 452 bench. He PR'd his bench on a very crappy pad at 485. And honestly, as we're talking, I'm kind of debating going back and forth because this is a huge toss up here. I really don't know.
Yeah, one thing. So Dominic, he went 8 for 9 at his meet that he did, and he got called for the first squat, and then he retook it and got it. So what worries me is like, yes, he definitely has a huge ceiling, but like I still see the squat being borderline. So I'm like, did you like this is nationals? I don't know. Are you gonna get it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. I'm kind of thinking about that now because I think his ceiling's the highest, but I have probably the least amount of questions about Hagen. I think.
Same.
Other than experience, but at the same time, none of these guys have experience at this level competing for this type of accolade.
This is true. It's cool. Dominic's been doing this only for 2 years. He's 22. That's crazy. Oh no, I meant to say Hagen. I meant Dominic. I meant Hagen.
Yeah, I was about to be like, wow, we have two 22-year-olds in this middle of this thing here. But yeah, I feel, I don't know why I feel a little safer with Hagen, only because of the momentum he's building right now. I think he's building something a little bit spicier right now. I think I might be just attracted on the what young lifters do, because I know what happens when young lifters, when they see a big uptick in total, they figured something out. And if you figure something out, I know when the progress really takes off. And I think Hagen is at a point where, yeah, this could be huge for him. Yeah. Going. Do we have anything else to add here for them?
No,
or
we can
ready
go to
for
predictions.
I was actually going to add in actually with Solana's point as far as squat depth goes. Yeah, looking at his squats, the problem, I think if he buries that squat just a little bit more, I don't know if there's any rebound out of the hole. And I think that will dictate his second and third attempt. I think if you get called on it, you have to adjust yourself. And if you adjust yourself too much and you get too low, then you don't have that strength. That can really mess with some lifters. And I think with that wide stance squat, it's really hard. You have to find that sweet spot. You have to find that groove. I like the squat. I mean, I think if you find your depth there, it's perfect. It is a perfect squat depth, and it's a perfect squat that you can really go to the bank with. Then I'll be a little more trusting to put him there. I mean, I might see one attempt and be like, oh, Melvin or Dominic Melvin's going to win this thing. But if he gets called for it, then you'll see the issues for the next two attempts.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it. Who's starting? Are we doing this anymore? Because I feel like I had this job of telling people when they should go, and I haven't done it since. Steve, you go.
All right. I honestly could pick any one of these people, and I'm going back and forth. But I'm gonna be versus changing because I was thinking about changing. I'm gonna stick with my original guns. I think Dominic has the highest ceiling, so I'm going Dominic first. I am switching. I'm going Hagen second, and then Michael in third.
All right. I will go Hagen first, Dominic second, Michael third.
Okay, I'm going Hagen first, Michael second, Dominic third.
Yeah, and be on the lookout, people. Watching this is not a weight class to skip over. Actually, I'm going to be commentating them. I'm pretty excited about that because we will get to see like a absolute jockeying in position between people who are incredibly close, and that is the best part of viewing a powerlifting meet, competing in a powerlifting meet. But if you're not hyped up about the 140 kilo weight class, you should be. And what everyone else should be hyped about is Stoic gear. Ladies and gentlemen, go to lift.net and get yourself Stoic gear, the best bang for your buck. Gym gear, singlets, wrist wrap, knee sleeves, all are affordable, all high quality. I wear it in the gym and on a platform because it is the best. And also, I look good in black and white. Use promo code Angelo10 to make it even more affordable. Make sure you're using that promo code when you go to lift.net and get yourself some Stoic gear. And let's talk about our last weight class here, the big heavy hitters in the super heavy division. Another 3-horse race. And I mean, I guess we should have done this Left Floor Bros ad at this time. Josh Longoria, Left Floor Bros athlete, coming in at the favorite mark. And I love what I see from Josh. They're not your prototypical super heavyweight either.
No, I mean, it's we're missing something we haven't had in a while, which is a Jesus or Ray, in the sense of like they're super heavyweights. I mean, they're just massive human beings, and I absolutely love the fact that we have these new weight classes, because these 125s and especially the 140s were all the people that were basically in the shadows of Ray and Jesus for the past 6, 7, 8 years, and they couldn't win because the classes just didn't fit their needs. But Josh definitely really had a big uptick over the last year. He competed in February, had a big PR total at 1979. With that being said, he's definitely the favorite. When I first saw the roster, I kind of thought this is just his to lose, but Lorenzo Barnes is in the picture. Lorenzo didn't have the best Arnold, in particular on deadlift. I shouldn't even say the best Arnold. He had a good squat session. He had a good deadlift day, or a good bench day. His deadlift, he had some issues on. And I'm not quite sure the full issues, because I wasn't able to find videos of actually those lifts that he missed. But I know he's hit more. He's hit a 700-pound deadlift in competition. He's also missed it, though, twice. And I'm going to guess, based off of being a super heavyweight and seeing some of his lists, there's probably some ramping stuff. It's probably not an issue of can he get it up and lock it out. It's can he do it without ramping and hitching? Is he going to get called on it? And if he can be able to deadlift 700 plus, they could be within 10 pounds of each other.
Yeah, completely agree. And also to your point with Josh Longoria and some of these other super heavyweights, like if you meet Josh Longoria, it's like, what other weight class would you go? He's a big dude. I mean, he's an opposing figure, but yeah, then if you see Ray Williams and Jesus, you'd be like, well, you're at a disadvantage right now. So yeah, like these weight classes are really good for these big dudes, and you get to see a guy like Josh Longoria do his thing. He's a strong dude. We saw him at Texas Barbell Syndicate, had a fantastic meet in Philadelphia. He's on one coming in a favor, but yeah, Lorenzo Barnes, he's a veteran in this. Josh Longoria doesn't have it wrapped up. We have some of the favorites coming in having it wrapped up. Josh does not have it wrapped up. He's going to have to battle. He's going to have to fight. He's going to have to hit his lifts. I'm confident he can do that, though.
I would agree. Josh is definitely like the favorite coming in, but he definitely has to hit his lifts in order to stay there. Lorenzo, so me and Steve both struggled, but I think we figured out what he was lifting because he wouldn't put the number, so it was hard to tell. But I have that he did a 675 squat recently, hit a 495 bench that looked pretty hard. And deadlifting wise, it looks like deadlifts are going okay. So I have him that he just like matches a lot of his last competitions lifts, just going based on what I'm seeing. But he's also not posting a ton, so
yeah. And then our third person here is Connor Wilmus. I think he's pretty solidly in third. I don't necessarily think he's got the upside to be able to compete with Josh and Lorenzo, but then below him, there's not really one that's really going to kind of, I think, push him much. He really hasn't posted much. He had an 1896 totals back in April, so I'm gonna guess he's going to be around that. So between Josh and Lorenzo, if they can hit all of their lifts and top end strength, they're pretty darn close. It's just that I think I have a little bit more confidence based off of execution that Josh is going to be able to hit his lifts. I don't really have any doubt on his squats. They're deep. His bench press is solid. And then on his deadlift, he doesn't really have any technical issues coming up, nor near your maximal lifts like I think Lorenzo has. So because of that, I've got Josh in first. So, I mean, unless you all have a lot more to discuss, I mean, for me, it's pretty simple. I've got Josh in first. I've got Lorenzo in a close second, and I think Lorenzo can challenge him if he can be able to pull 700, and then Connor solidly in third place.
And
well, yeah,
that's what I have.
Yeah, I would, yeah, Lorenzo would offer a big challenge to Josh, and like I said, he doesn't have his work cut out for him. But I'm not gonna pick against a teammate.
Oh, do it. I picked Russ, didn't I? For a split second.
A teammate? Oh, okay. I was still. No, this is sponsorship teammates. That runs deeper than coaching teammates.
Got it.
Like sponsorship teammate is the big one, especially.
Well, no, I was talking coaching athlete relationship. I was saying for a split second I picked Russ.
Yeah, that's not as important as sponsorship.
Oh, so got it.
Sponsorship teammates is the thing. That's like all of it, I mean, the Stoic guys, the Leffler Bros guys and girls, the 110%. We stick together. I am, yeah. So I guess, yeah, I'm just gonna go Josh Longoria, Lorenzo, and then Connor at the end there. You're gonna have to hit the reset button with the super heavies, and I like the super heavies that the USAPL still has. Like that is such a weight class that can offer such a big, wide, like shifting people at the top, people within the podium positions, because people just aren't that big, like you have the top dog in Jesus in Powerlifting America. Ray Williams is kind of hurt right now, so USAPL, I think these gentlemen, I think, are going to represent it pretty well and kind of build the new era of super heavyweight lifters. So excited to see it. We'll be on commentary. And are we at the finish line here?
I think we are.
Yes. For Mega Nationals.
For now, yeah, for Mega Nationals, which
for Mega Nationals, still got plenty more with IPF.
Well, IPF should be a little bit shorter.
I don't know.
Really?
How many weight classes? There's new weight classes, or there's more weight classes.
Yeah, we do have more weight classes, but IPF, I don't know if they're going to have 2-hour episodes each for men and women, no problem. If not
good point. We have to combine. Okay, we have to combine men and women. All right, yeah, you're right. Well, these are. I mean, this is a little inside baseball for you guys. We're previewing this all at once. We're not taking the episode breaks. This is a 3.5 hour podcast. This one we just did on the Met.
We started at 5 and it's 9:15.
Well, we were bullshitting a lot, and I was trying to figure out audio issues, which I probably still didn't figure out yet. Hopefully it sounds great to you guys listening at home. But to my other two co-hosts right now, apparently it doesn't sound the best in their headphones. So got to give them a lot of credit. That's some grit right there. Listening through the entire.
Whenever we talk, about 3 seconds later, 2 seconds later, we hear ourselves in full volume going in our headphones. So I've learned to have to tune that out. I mean, at the same time, I've been practicing this for over a year, listening to Angelo and tuning things out. So I've gotten pretty darn good at it.
Yeah, my podcast is me by myself, so I'm not used to that. But it's okay. We push through, persevere. We are doing everything to give y'all the best content.
Yes. Thank you very much, Solana, for joining us. I'm looking forward to the more preview shows that we have and the more content we have for USAPL Mega Nats. I don't think it's going to be our last episode regarding that. Maybe the other episodes we do are going to be shorter, a little bit more digestible on our end, not 4 hours of content, but also, hopefully, this is our first YouTube. I didn't want to announce that it's our YouTube on the thing because that would sound stupid if I don't know how to render the videos. So, welcome to YouTube, everyone. Maybe, but that'll do it for our previews of Mega Nationals. We'll see you guys on potentially Friday, maybe Monday. We got to get those episodes figured out. Peace.